Hi everyone, how are you doing? So, I would like you to explore this question today. What would it be like if my life and my business were like a retreat? And I'd love for you to pop some words in comments to answer this question. What words come through for you when you think about your life and your business being a retreat? So for me, this is fun, expansiveness, luxury, nature, space in terms of physical space, energetic space, space in terms of time as well for me. Feeling nourished, feeling cozy, feeling comfortable, feeling abundant, being surrounded by beautiful things. So I'd love to know what words would describe and what feelings you would feel if your life and your business were a retreat. So, this is something that a mentor of mine shared with me a couple of years ago. She asked me this question, and I want to ask you this question because this has shifted and changed and moved me forward in so many ways. So I was working on a launch at the time of one of my programs, and I was trying to get the launch all done because I then wanted to go on retreat. Now, don't get me wrong, I love retreats and I go on solo retreats all the time. Whenever I feel called, whenever I need that deeper connection with nature and myself. But we don't have to go on retreat all the time if we are able to create our life and our business as if it was a retreat. So, what would that look like for you? What would those feelings be? I don't want you to worry so much about the how. How do I do this? But what does that feel like for you? And when I started to consider this question, I was also running an online retreat around that time. And it was really interesting because I was like, wow, how can I run this online retreat? It's over 3 days. There's so much to do. And then when I stopped and pondered this question, it was like, wow, to embody the energy that I need to hold this space for this retreat, I need my life and my business to be like a retreat. So I said I wasn't going to say the how, but it's not necessarily the how for you that's important. But what I did in that moment was I thought, okay, if I was on retreat, what would I be doing? I would be meditating more. I would be drinking hot drinks more. I'd be doing things that made me feel nourished. I'd be out in nature more. So I started to do those things around running that retreat. I made sure I had a really nice long meditation in the morning. I walked in nature. I took care of my body. I had baths. And I created that spaciousness in time in my diary. So I delegated some of my admin tasks. And that was the most successful online retreat I've ever run. And then subsequent successful launch I'd ever done as well. And I did still go on retreat whilst my launch was happening. And also, I had a house sale going through at the same time as well. And I managed to do all of that and still be able to go onto retreat. Now, for a lot of us, we have spent, if you're like me and you're overcoming, if you're, what's the word, overcoming people pleaser, an ex-people pleaser. If you're like me, this balance might not be something that you're used to. So I know for me, I had a 15-year corporate career in financial services, and a lot of that was spent pushing and proving and pushing and proving. And I used to rush into work to be there first thing in the morning, be the first person in the office, so that I could, mainly part of this was due to be neurodivergent, right? Because I couldn't work in the office. The office environment was not, an open plan office was not suitable to my needs. But I used to run in so I could get all of the work done. I was doing 2 people's jobs. I didn't question that in the beginning. And push, rest later, play later. And I went on some amazing holidays in that time. I travelled to the Maldives, to Thailand, Malaysia, Mexico, America, Australia. I travelled the world and loads of Europe, literally every European city you can think of. I travelled the world, right? And that freedom, and I still love to travel, that freedom for me is so important. That is a huge value for me. And interestingly, that is one of the words that I used when I said about what would it be like if your life and your business were a retreat. Freedom is right up there. But I used to push and prove and hustle so I could have that freedom, so I could have that holiday, so I could have that travel. And it was a push-pull. So I would push myself out so far because I'm driven. And I know if you're watching this, you've got massive dreams and goals and visions for what you want to do with your work and how you want to heal and shift the planet. I get it. I get it because that is me. Like, I have those big dreams and goals and missions. Like, I'm not here for the small things. I'm here for massive things. Because otherwise I wouldn't be here in this time period. You wouldn't be here in this time period if your soul was not here for expansion and amazing, amazing things. So I get it. And that is the part that used to push me out into the world. And then I would get so burnt out from all the pushing and the toxic masculine energy. And then I would be forced into rest, forced into pulling back, forced into retreat, or, you know, perhaps waiting for the holiday, waiting for the next luxury holiday. And it was this constant push-pull. And when I moved fully into my business, when I left corporate, so the main reason I left corporate was freedom. I wanted to do what the hell I liked. I wanted to run my business how I wanted to run it, work where I wanted to work, work with who I wanted to work with, work, you know, the who's, the what's, the when's, the why's, all of that, and be in full control of my authenticity and my strengths. Because in corporate, I was trying to fit a square peg, or a star-shaped peg, I think is a phrase I've used before, into a square hole. And that was not going to work. Because I wasn't sharing all of me. I wasn't sharing my spiritual gifts. I wasn't sharing my coaching skills. I wasn't sharing. I was training in positive psychology, but I wasn't bringing all of that to the table in terms of how that works with energy and the quantum and everything else. So the reason I left corporate was for that freedom. But very soon, I got into that same pattern with my business. I was doing the same thing with my business. I was pushing out. I was going to every single, this was before I got support, right? I didn't know. I just thought, oh, well, maybe I just have to go network. That's like the first thing I have to do, right? And my body was like, no. My body was like, no, this isn't right. But I continued to push that and push out and go to these networking events where, because I have a lot of open centers in my design, because I'm highly sensitive, a lot of people could feel that energy. A lot of people could feel that I was a good listener. And I became like, until I set boundaries, I became like the counselor in the corner at the networking meetings. And that would push me into burnout. And then any time that I did have left after that to focus on my business, I used to be just burnt out and tired, and I'd need to sleep. Like literally, sometimes I was so like, let me know if this happens to you, like I get so eyeball drained that I would just have to go and sleep it off. And I would have no time for creativity and everything like that. So this, for me, and this question is what has shifted and changed everything in my life and in my business. And it comes with leading from the feminine, leading from that space of rest and nourishment and retreat first. Not work now, play later. I just saw 11:11 on the recording. Not work now, play later. Not work now, rest later. But rest and play first. And what if we start to like play with this concept of like, what if rest is play? What if play is work? What if we start to play with these concepts? Because I know that, like me, you're not a fan of boxes or limitations and black and white, and it does not have to be one or the other. So what if we were to play with this? What if we were to play with these concepts of work and rest and play? And the work I get to do now feels like rest and play. I had the amazing ladies on the Quantum Alignment call yesterday, and it feels just so fun and expansive and nourishing to work with those ladies who are just so aligned, like we're on the same page. Yes, we all have our own individual missions and paths and strengths, but it just feels easy and flowing in complete alignment. And it is like, feels almost like a social event for me because I enjoy it so, so much. So when we step into this space of this energy first and this energy leads of rest, and sometimes this might mean a total switch off and total retreat. I did that a few weeks ago. I went completely into nature, complete switch off. And the most incredible things happen. I always get super magnetic when I come off everything. I start to attract everything really quickly. But it doesn't have to be black or white. So yes, if we need that, which I know I sometimes do, then it's about honouring that. But let's play with these concepts and think about, what would it be like? What would it be like if my life and my business was like a retreat? So we need to lead with the feminine. But to do this, we need to have some other things in place here. So we need to have the healthy masculine structures to hold a container for us. So part of this, we can't just, we could get too chaotic if we let the feminine just completely take over. I'm not looking to do that, because this is when we end up in like decision fatigue, like, oh, what should I do today? Oh, I don't know, I can't make a decision. Okay, so we need to pre-plan for this. So how do you currently pre-plan? Whether that's your week, your month, pre-planning some rest or recharge time. I know I've got a couple of big events coming up, so I know I need to pre-plan ahead of that, and like, where am I at in my cycle, and working around that. And this could look like, you know, the days you have calls, the days of the week you work, the days of the week you don't, the days of the week you have time to yourself, the days of the week you have more time in nature. Or it could look like giving yourself Friday as a free-flowing day to be creative or to do something for yourself. So we have to have these healthy structures in place, these healthy masculine structures in place. And again, this is something I didn't have in the early days of my business because I was so scared of masculine. I was like, literally, I was so scared of the masculine energy because of corporate and because I'd been in burnout. I was like, yeah, no, not going to have a funnel, not going to use this system, not going to have this structure. But I learned the hard way, and I learned through that experience that I needed to have that for the feminine to flow within that structure. Okay. And with that comes boundaries as well. And this is another thing. I had very shitty boundaries when I first started my business, and I was being led from my ego. And I was like, oh, this person wants to meet for coffee. Oh, lovely. Oh, yeah, I'll meet them. They obviously see me. Oh, they see me as well. Oh, great. And I was off running around the county, meeting different people for coffee, mainly giving them free coaching was what happened, on the only time that I had in my business. So that was me being in toxic feminine. It was like, see me, someone see me. Oh, someone's seen me. Okay. So we really have to see ourselves first. And when we see ourselves, we can go, I see you. Like, this is to yourself. Like, you can look in the mirror, you can talk to your inner child. I see you. Like, do this now. Look at yourself now. I see you. And I see what it is that you need. I see that you need more nourishment. I see that you need more connection to nature and downtime and time away from technology and space and alone time and expansiveness and freedom. I see you, and we have got this now. We have got this now, and we are going to create this now. Now is the time. I see you and I've got you. And when you see yourself and you give yourself those things, everything shifts and changes. And of course, in the quantum field, everything is a vibrational match. So people will come in that see you properly and are willing to pay you for your services as well. Okay. And it's all about that wound around being seen. Like, am I worthy for who I am? Am I worthy for being seen? So with that comes that creation of safety, because if we don't feel safe, we can't be in our feminine. So for me in the past, a lot of my traumas pushed me into masculine. I used that cortisol from that unsafety feeling to push me forward into action. And I would end up doing more on the days I was stressed and not less, because I'd get on that cortisol train and I would keep going and keep going and keep going. But when we regulate, and we find that through things like somatic practices, which we do in the membership through breath work every 6 weeks, we do a somatic release, we do breath work, you create safety, and then the feminine can lead. And she can also lead because she has got space for that dark feminine and for that wild woman to come out as well. Because this is another thing, right? This is another thing that we end up in this perpetuating cycle with, because we don't give space for our feminine to release, to have really genuine emotions come up, like anger and rage, frustration or bitterness, and give space for that and ask why that is there and what needs to be released. Because what I see a lot is we suppress that, you know, the whole good girls shouldn't be angry shadow that we pick up. Good girls shouldn't be angry. Good girls shouldn't have tantrums. How many of us were told that age 5, right? So we also have to work through that wound. It is safe to be me. It is safe to be feminine. And then we can lead from that space. So let me know in comments, what would it be like if your life and your business were a retreat? What would that feel like? What feelings come up for you in your body? And what is it that you need to step out of that push-pull mentality? And to do that, we need those structures, we need those boundaries, we need to find that safety, and we need to allow that wild feminine and dark feminine a voice and a space. And we need to see ourselves and validate ourselves that we are worthy exactly how we are. There is nothing for you to do. There is nothing for you to fix. You just need to see yourself and shine a light on all of those parts of yourself. So if this resonates and you need some support, let me know. And I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.